Namaskar. How are you, my dear friends? It gives great joy to meet all of you again through this social platform. We are discussing, we are engaged in discussing about life and living very deeply. We are not discussing or exploring life superficially, but we would like to go to the roots of our living itself. Now, this discussion is not an imposition. We are not imposing anything on our viewers or listeners. In fact, they are free to express their understanding of life. They can participate in the discussion through their wise comments, or they can raise questions. Again, we can go into those questions, or if possible, we can meet at some place and have a dialogue with each other to have clarity in life, not to argue, not to disagree completely or coming with a predetermined thought, with a predetermined notion or myth. Now, we are not discussing to impress upon anybody, to have our sway on others' thinking. So, in this process, what I would like to say is sincerely, we are learning from each other. We are together in this process of learning. You know, life is a long journey of learning. We are here to learn, to lead a fruitful life. When we don't learn, what happens is we are filled up with all kinds of imaginations, misconceptions, myths, wrong thinking, wrong judgments, wrong relationships. The list is endless, it goes on. Now, life has been in disarray, totally disorganized, in spite of so many reforms and changes that man has brought in. There has never been amity or harmony in human life or life of the society. Each society is divided and further continues to divide itself, creating more divisions, more groups, more factions, which are primarily responsible for our misery, primarily responsible for all the travails and problems of life. Because basically, we disagree with each other based on certain perspectives of life, on imaginary lines. We have so many illusory ideas, concepts, and we think that those ideas are to be followed by everyone in the world. As a result, mankind has never lived in harmony. It continues to struggle, it continues to be in peril, which appears to be very nearer to us. Now, why all these unwanted, undesirable things are happening in the society? I think the answer is very simple, because there is lack of learning. We are not learning from our personal life or societal life. We are not learning anything from the past, and not to repeat the mistakes and blunders which we committed in the past. we continue to repeat our mistakes. Life has been repetitive, repetition of the same mistakes, the same blunders. I hope you understand the meaning. You definitely do between mistake and blunder. Now, these are to be completely eliminated from our life. So, learning has a great significance in our living. Now, what is learning? Learning is to study or observe or to know the unknown, means the very process of knowing the unknown. When something is not known to us, we observe it keenly, we explore it, we study it, we gather information about it, and finally we assimilate the essential facts of that particular area of study or subject or object. So learning is nothing but acquiring knowledge or a skill through study, by study, or from our elders, from our own life experiences. Because life is nothing but a bundle of experiences. All the experiences are, when they are put together, we call it as life. Now, have we learned anything from our past? Because knowledge, it descends from one generation to another generation. We inherit knowledge. Knowledge is an inheritance. I hope I am clear in what I am trying to communicate. So we all learn, and this learning, it takes place in the mother's womb, and it is terminated in the tomb. This is how we understand. Life is a process of learning. It begins in the cradle and ends in grave. So these two conceptual frameworks, learning as a process from womb to tomb, we remain in the mother's womb for 9 months. And in this duration, we learn many things from mother too. I don't want to go into the details of how it happens. That's the reason we carry so many traits, so many similarities of our family members, because we inherit a great deal of our thinking from our parents through transmission. The genetic transmission also plays a crucial role in deciding our thinking, habit formation, and style of functioning. So, life is nothing but acquisition of knowledge through the process of learning. And what is the source of learning? The source is nature, our fellow human beings, the flora and fauna, because everything teaches something or the other. Nature is the mother of all learning. As you all know, when we say we learn from our elders, that means nothing is taught unless it is learned. When somebody teaches us, what does it mean? That he learned from somewhere else. Similarly, nothing can be learned unless it is taught. To learn, somebody has to teach us. Now, that somebody can be a living human being, or fellow human being, or nature. So, the mother of all knowledge is nature, Mother Nature. And nature is the best teacher, as you all know. We learn everything, all the knowledge that we possess today has been inherited, learned from nature. Through our observation, through our questioning, unless you raise a question, you cannot learn anything. Now, learning is of two types. Again, learning about the physical world, the objective world, and learning about yourself. The extrinsic learning, the external learning, and the intrinsic or internal learning. Have you learned about yourself, what you are, the way you think, the way you act, the way you speak, all your emotions? Why do you behave in certain fashion? Why do you choose certain words to express your feelings, your body language? This is all falls under internal or intrinsic learning. Man knows a great deal about nature and understood the secrets of nature, still is in the process of learning, unraveling the secrets of nature one after the other. But he knows very little about himself or oneself. When we do not know about ourselves, we become self-centered or egotistic in our actions, in our living. Egotism is nothing but thinking all the time about yourself, your own welfare, your selfish interests, your progress, your pleasure, your security. All the time, the person becomes obsessed with himself. So he doesn't allow anything to come in the sense he doesn't accommodate anybody, including nature. He doesn't accommodate nature too. If you see it clearly, the trail of suffering, the trail of destruction that man has left in this world, the untold misery and suffering of the mankind, it is all because of wrongly learned knowledge. Man has to be guided by right knowledge or proper knowledge. When we are guided by wrong knowledge, what happens is we create lot of disturbance, we create commotion, we create imbalance in the society. Now, when I say society, that includes your family or the vicinity in which you are living or the nation wherein you are a part and parcel. Anything that has been learned wrongly is going to create havoc, is going to create imbalance in the society. Because man cannot hide his behavior. Every man is a revelation. Constantly every person reveals about himself. You express what you are, what your thinking is, what would you like to create in this world. We all have to live in amity and harmony. That is not happening because we haven't learned things. There is something wrong with our learning process. Because you learn from your social environment, from your family. As you know, mother is the first teacher, and the child picks up or learns his emotional expressions, his priorities, his gestures or body language or the language, his value system, everything from the family to begin with, and later on he learns from the nearby society. Now this remains with that person for a long time. So when you learn, You learn everything that comes to your notice. You perceive everything through your sensory system, and you store up in your memory, and whenever you need it, you act based upon the memory, based upon your knowledge, which is embedded, which is stored up in your memory. So our actions are led by memory. So unless you have healthy memory, your actions cannot be healthy. Now when you realize that, how do you realize it? When you assess and evaluate your actions. While doing an action, you are carried away by that act. So there is a little chance of correcting yourself while you are participating, while you are a part and parcel of that action. That is, when you indulge in an action, you cannot stop yourself and correct yourself. But later on, when you introspect and see the result, see the net result of your actions, what has it resulted in? What are the repercussions of your act? How has it influenced your family and the persons who were involved in that act? And how is it going to influence the world? So the world is nothing but a bundle of influences which are created by people like us, and these influences are carried out. They continue to remain in the stream of consciousness, in the stream of society for centuries and centuries. So all the myths, misconceptions, wrongdoings are basically there, which are there in the society, is because of the wrong learning. So learning includes three things. Most of the people do not know. They think that learning is, it happens from books or from elders, and once you learn it, there's nothing wrong with your learning. You have to doubt your learning once you become an adult. Learning comes as a package, that is, learning the right thing, unlearning the wrong thing, and in that place, relearn the right thing again. Unlearning is the most crucial, important, significant part of learning. Unlearn what you have learned wrongly in the past has to be eliminated, completely removed from your thought process. By that, you don't repeat that wrong action again. Let me give a small example. Suppose eating habits, wrong eating habits. Suppose a person is eating fried items in every meal and lot of non-vegetarian food in every meal. That is going to spoil his health. Suppose when you advise that person to include lot of fibrous food, he would not understand. He will not understand. He says, this is how I have been taught from my childhood. I am used to such food habits. This is called resistance to change, resistance to unlearn. So this wrong learning has to be removed. Another example I would like to give is misusing knowledge. For example, man invented nuclear energy and its uses and all that. But how that nuclear science is being used? Suppose you are developing arms and armaments for the destruction or to create a holocaust in the world. That is wrongly learned, wrongly used knowledge. The same nuclear science can be used to produce electricity, to produce power, that can be used for so many developmental activities. I would like to give one more example to make ourselves understand the importance of unlearning. Now, in the past, people were made to believe that the earth was flat. People believed because they were made to believe irrationally. They were never allowed to use their rationality based upon facts, based on experimentation, based on evidence. And whosoever said that earth was round, they were imprisoned, they were put to lot of discomfort, they were punished cruelly. All these things happen. That means we carry so many myths and blind beliefs in our living which are totally irrational and baseless. So wrong learning has to be removed, has to be displaced with right learning. How does it happen? It happens with the help of unlearning. Once you unlearn, remove that wrong thinking, you relearn the right thing. This is how we correct ourselves. This is called as transformation of an individual. The real meaning of transformation is removing wrongly learned knowledge, fallacious knowledge, and in its place to equip ourselves with right knowledge. When we have right knowledge, definitely our acts will be rightful. We do right actions, and these actions definitely bring about amity and harmony in the world. Now I request my friends to share this with their fellow beings, with their friends, kith and kin. By that, we propagate, we inculcate right learning, even among the students. We are not professional YouTubers. Our intention is very, very clear. Our intent is to bring about clarity in human thinking. By that, we can lead a peaceful and harmonious life. Namaskar.